If you've ever felt like you're just shouting into the void when you're putting content out for your coaching business, or you've stared at your phone thinking, what do I even post today to attract clients to my coaching business? This episode is for you because it's not that you need to do more marketing, it's because your messaging isn't doing the heavy lifting for you. In today's episode, I'm breaking down what messaging actually is, why it matters more than you think, and how to make it work for you so that your dream clients can stop scrolling. They'll start leaning in and listening to what you have to say and getting ready to buy from you. Hello, and welcome to the Life First Coaching Business Podcast. I'm your host, Leonie, and I'm all about helping new coaches like you create life first businesses you love by building out the key foundations you need for an easeful and joyful business, where you get to make an impact doing what lights you up and helping others. We talk about the strategies, the systems, and the mindset you need to make your coaching business work for you. So let's dive in. Okay, welcome to this episode. This is all about creating potent messaging in your coaching business so that you can stand out and you can attract the right clients and you can stop feeling like you're shouting into the void when you're posting content for your social media or speaking to people at networking events or any other content that you're putting out for your business. Your messaging is what does all the heavy lifting when it comes to any content, any conversations you're having about your coaching. So it really underpins every aspect of your business when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your sales, when it comes to your content strategy. Your messaging is the umbrella that everything in your business sits underneath. And it's exactly how you communicate, what you do, who you help, the value you bring, and the transformation you can create for your clients. And it's what helps you make sure that you're speaking to the right person. So the person who's in the situation, who's ready to take action to overcome whatever challenges they're facing and achieve the transformation that you help them through and you support them through. And it's what makes them stand up and listen because they suddenly see themselves in what you're saying. And then they suddenly realize that there's this better way to solve the problem than maybe what they've been considering already, what they've been trying already, or maybe even they've been thinking they just have to live with this challenge and get through it on their own and never having considered coaching before. So whatever situation your ideal client is in, your messaging needs to really speak to them, needs to cut through, needs to speak to their hearts as well as their mind and help them see a better way in working with you to overcome this problem, what that's going to mean to them in their lives, and how they can take action to work with you. So your messaging encapsulates all that communication. And where I see it sitting in your business strategy is within 4 pillars of your foundations of your business, which is your niche. So getting really clear on who you help and how. And then it's your messaging. So then you want to be working on how do I communicate to this person who has this problem, and understanding the way that they describe this problem, the way they describe the desires they have, the language they use, the wordage they use, but also the things that they wouldn't even say out loud, the things they're feeling deep inside. If you can connect with them there, then they're really going to stand up and listen. And then it's your offer. So your offer is how you're packaging up your solution and what that looks like. And messaging is woven all the way through that offer because the package and the way you package it up is nothing unless you can communicate it clearly. So the messaging goes all the way through that. And then your sales strategy. So the way you're selling, the way you're inviting people into your offer. Again, your messaging flows all the way through that. So it really is the thread that runs through everything. But I wouldn't start working on messaging before I got really clear on my niche. So that's the sort of order that you want to think about things in your business. And that's the order I take my clients through inside my program to help them build those foundations of their business. But I always say that messaging is never a one and done thing, that it's completed. It's always evolving. It's always shifting according to the market. It's shifting according to the way you evolve as a coach, the way your business evolves, the more you get to know your ideal clients. So it's something that you want to have amazing strategy behind when you're starting out and you want to have considered it in detail, but you always want to be refining it and tweaking it and improving it and shifting it according to the way your business shifts as well. So it's an ever evolving, organic piece of the puzzle in your coaching business. Now, the framework that I've created to really help my clients nail their messaging is the ACEs framework. And ACEs stands for Attract, Connect, Enlighten, and Sell. And these are the 4 phases that you want to be taking your client on a journey through to go from a complete stranger to being ready to buy from you. And that's the message that is woven through your business to, number 1, attract them. So that's where you want to be really calling out that ideal person and just speaking to one person and making sure you're really clear on who they are, where they are within the situation that you help them with, where they are in their life. And that when you are speaking to attract them, they see themselves in that messaging. And then next, you want to be making an emotional connection with them. This is where you're showing empathy for the situation they're in, showing that you understand what they're going through, showing you have shared values with them and you understand where they want to get to, sharing your own story if it's something you've been through yourself. So you're making that emotional connection with them, and that's going to really help them become invested in listening to you. Without that emotional connection, they're probably not going to want to stick around and listen. Whereas once they've had that emotional connection, they'll remember you and they will keep tuning in when they see you again. And then enlightening them. So that enlighten phase is about showing them the way to their desires, showing them that maybe the things they've been considering already, why those things haven't worked, making them see that it's not them that's the problem. The problem is the things they've been trying or the mindset they've had around the problem, and that there is a better way and that you have that solution. And then that's when you can talk them through what your solution is, what your method of coaching is, or your framework or your roadmap, whatever you've created through your coaching offer. This is where you can enlighten them as to the way to get to their desired outcome, the way to achieve the transformation they want, the way to overcome the problem they have. And then on to sell. So this is when you are inviting them into your offer and making them see that there's a reason to buy now and there's urgency or scarcity around it, and what they can achieve and how they see the investment in this coaching as, or how they see the value in the outcome of your coaching far outweighing the investment of working with you and investing their time and energy into that process. And things like you'd really want to tap into the things that they're going to be thinking about and the things they'd have on their mind that might stop them from saying yes to working with you. So what objections? So what objections have they got going on in their head? Are they concerned about feeling safe in the process or trusting themselves in the process, or how much time it might take up and what they might do if they get stuck? And all those things can come into that sales conversation in terms of helping them overcome those questions in their head and being ready to buy from you. So those 4 phases are really the phases you want to think about when it comes to crafting your messaging and tapping into what's going on in the mind of your ideal client and using language that they understand and they relate to in order to help them go from complete stranger to being a client. So a few signs that your messaging isn't landing and isn't working for you yet is, one, as we've already talked about, that you feel like you're shouting into the void and nothing's happening. If you feel like you are getting that engagement, but it's more that people are like, you're sharing value and you're sharing tips and people are enjoying that and liking it, but they're not feeling compelled to reach out or to want to work with you. Also, if you feel like you're constantly trying to come up with new things to say, that's a sign that you're not getting focused enough on your messaging, because messaging is really about repeating the same thing over and over again. There's a core message, and yes, you might change the way you're saying it slightly. You might change the medium that you're using or the creative that you're using, but the messaging shouldn't be changing a lot. It should be consistent. It should be something that you're repeating over and over again, and you should be really clear yourself on what that messaging is so that it's not reinventing the wheel all the time. It's not having to come up with new things all the time. And believe me, I know what it's like to overcomplicate things in business. And I think it's something that we all fall into, is thinking that it has to be harder than it is, and therefore overcomplicating it and thinking to ourselves, well, I must need to say something different all the time in order for me to be putting out interesting and valuable content. But that's not the case at all, because you just confuse your audience and water down your message, and it starts to lose its potency when you're shifting and changing all the time. Whereas when you're repeating the same thing, that's when it really starts to cut through and that's what you can become known for, when people hear it over and over again and it becomes memorable. And as long as it excites your ideal client and it has that emotional connection for them, and it helps them start to see something differently and shift their mindset, then it's powerful and it's doing what it should do. And it's not about saying something different all the time. That's just going to water down your messaging and mean that it's not going to be effective for you. So let's just talk about a few examples of kind of vanilla messaging versus potent messaging. And so if you're being vague and you're speaking in very general terms and you're talking to very general transformation, so you might be saying something like, I help women feel more confident in their bodies. And that really isn't very specific. And while you might hear that and think, well, yeah, that's what a lot of women want. They want to feel confident in their bodies. But if you're saying something like, I help midlife women who are living hectic, busy lives completely reclaim their energy and feel 10 years younger without overhauling their entire life or giving up the foods they love. That is much more potent, because it's talking to a specific woman who's in midlife and is living a very hectic life and is probably thinking that in order to improve her health, she has to overhaul her whole life and give up all the things she enjoys doing socially, and the foods are things she enjoys. And this is saying, I'll help you completely reclaim your energy without overhauling your life or giving up the foods you love. So suddenly that's going to make that woman think, oh, wow, this is for me. Those are the things I've been worried about. And I really want to feel more energy. I need more energy for my busy life. And the only way I've been thinking I can do it is overhauling everything. And that's going to make them lean in and want to listen. So that's just an example of where you can start to shift to something more specific and more magnetic according to what your ideal client is thinking and going through. And to use my business as an example, I could say I help coaches build successful businesses, but I have more specificity around that. So I help new health, wellness, and life coaches build their life first business. So it's a very specific kind of business by nailing their niche, mastering their messaging, creating their 5-star offer, and building the foundations of a life first business. So that's much more specific. It's talking to a specific kind of coaches at a specific point in their journey who want a specific kind of business. And it's talking to the things I'll help them do in order to be able to create that. So again, it's all about specificity, and it's all about tapping into the thoughts and the things that are going through the mind of your ideal client. So to give you some actionable tips to go away with, start clarifying exactly who you help and what you help them with and how you help them. So really get clarity on your niche. If you don't feel like your niche is very specific or dialed in yet, start there. Then think about your messaging in terms of that ACEs framework, how you'd attract that person, make a connection, enlighten them, and sell to them. And speak to one person. For the sake of your messaging, really dial it in by thinking of one specific person and talking to them. Then focus on the outcome. So whenever you're talking about how coaching helps, always refer back to that outcome and what that transformation that they're looking for is, before really focusing on the process or the features of your offer and things like that. Use your dream client's language. So make sure you tune in to the things when you're having conversations with your ideal clients. How are they describing it themselves? What are the nuanced phrases they're using? How do they really describe what they're experiencing and what they're thinking? And use that kind of language in your messaging as well. And then be bold, be authentic to yourself, and don't be scared to feel like you're repeating yourself. If you feel like you're being repetitive and you're just saying the same thing over and over again, that's when you're doing it right. So as long as you've got the strategy behind it, you've thought about that ideal client, you've tuned in to what they need to hear, that's when you want to be repeating yourself and saying the same things over and over again. And if you're finding this difficult, you are not alone in that. Messaging is the thing that I work with my clients on the most. It's the thing that we'll keep revisiting and we'll keep going over, because sometimes it takes time to get through the layers to the heart of what you actually want and need to be saying. And that's normal. And it's not to say that this is something to get stuck on for ages, but it's to give yourself some breathing space to work on it, to think about it, to get it right. And also understand that sometimes it can be really difficult when you've got tunnel vision in your business, or you're so close to it yourself, you can't see the wood for the trees. And that's where getting some support with your messaging can really, really help, because often someone on the outside with a more objective view can really see where there's missing pieces in your messaging. Whereas when you're so close to it, particularly if it's something that you've been through yourself and you've achieved the transformation, you can sometimes forget what your clients don't know yet. And then you're missing bits in your messaging. So that's where some support can really help you. If you're feeling like you're getting stuck in this, or you're feeling overwhelmed with how to work through it, that's where some support can really help you. But give yourself some breathing space, give yourself some time to really work on this, and don't try to rush it. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that helps you see the importance of messaging, where it sits in the overall vision of your business, but also gives you some actionable, helpful tips to be able to start pulling it together for yourself. If you are wanting that support and you're interested in how we could work together to dial in your messaging and get that strategy right, then you can get in touch with me on Instagram. We could do a one-on-one strategy session to focus just on your messaging, or we can have a clarity call if you're interested in joining Launch Plan, my group program, where I support you through those 4 steps of your niche, your message, your offer, and your selling strategy. So just get in touch with me if you're interested in chatting further about any of that. And I hope that's been useful, and I'll catch you again next week. Oh, before you go, you need to grab yourself a copy of the best and most useful freebie on the internet for coaches. It's my free 1-page client attraction blueprint. It takes you through the exact 7 steps you need to go from 0 clients to filling your wait list. And you can map it out all on 1 page, and there's a mini training that comes with it that walks you through that process. So head to the link in the show notes and grab your copy now.